Hey guys, JH, welcome to Practice Tea. Okay guys, just a couple of little things today to keep up the theme of just revision, tailoring CL as we go along. It'll always be an ongoing evolutionary thing. I don't think I'll ever get to the stage where I say, yeah, I won't have any more additions to it. But primarily, initially now, I think we've got a really good base CL protocol that we can work to. And for newbies coming on board, and someone asked the other day, and there's a lot of stuff back in the videos, guys, but there's 100 videos there, and they're not chronologically listed, so it's very difficult. And I may get my son one day to do all that so that we can go from, you know, the very first day, second day, and so forth. But at the moment, for somebody coming on board, essentially what channel lock is, guys, is a golf swing where we have a consistent structure every time we set up to the golf ball. Absolutely, unequivocally, and categorically consistent and same-ish every time. And that has been the downfall of a conventional golf swing, because there's been so many variables. When you have a golf ball, guys, that is positioned forward of the center of the body, how far forward of center of body is always difficult to determine. And setting up to that ball in exactly the same way every time, even though you have a variance in that ball position, is nigh impossible, because the difficulty is, guys, that you, from day to day, even from shot to shot, moment to moment, the angularity of the shoulders will vary for most club players. It doesn't that much for a tour player or the better player, because they've structured their swing around correct mechanics. But for the club player that doesn't have the time or the access to professional teaching or analysis by video or whatever, they will always have a huge variance, and that is brought about by the forward ball position, the setting up, the weight distribution, and that has a knock-on effect to the shoulders, guys. So, you know, 1 minute the ball could be here, next minute it could be there, then it could be back here. So that's going to affect where the weight is placed every time you set up to the golf ball. And as a result, the backswing will vary, and certainly the downswing will vary. With channel lock, we eliminate those variables. And we eliminate that initially by having a prescribed ball position. And that prescribed ball position, guys, is essentially off the trail foot. Now, the variance there and the amount of variance available in that particular tenet of the swing or the protocol is probably, you know, the width of your foot, maybe from your big toe through to your third or fourth toe, or maybe just marginally in front of that, or whatever. But it's within a really fine tolerance, and no matter what, if you put your foot down there and have the ball there, and say, okay, even from this visual perspective here, I know that it's within the framework of the width of my foot. I know that. Now, once we've determined that we've got a known prescribed ball position, boy, we're on our way. Now then, guys, from there, what we have to do is with channel lock, because channel lock is a golf swing where we swing the club beside our body, or this version of beside the body. I say beside the body because that is outside, and that for me is beside my body. The club is still swinging itself in front of my chest, so that is in front of my body. In a conventional golf swing, club is swung in front of the body. I'm in this orientation here. In this golf swing, we want to swing the club beside the body in this channel that we've worked out here. And how have we worked out that channel, and how does it come about? It comes about, guys, because when we set up with that trail foot, back foot ball position, we've got our shoulders aligned, or what I call preset or back cocked. Now, why do we do that? Because we want them in that position, maybe not as pronounced as we have it set at address, but we overset it at address so that we have enough at impact, because we want the shoulders closed at impact. And why do we want the shoulders closed at impact every time? Because, guys, we need to do something every time. And the good thing about having your shoulders closed at impact every time, and that back ball position there, is that it will start the club always from in to out across the target line, which means that the initial starting direction of the golf ball will always be in that direction there. For a right-hander, if our target line's up there, for a right-hander, the ball will always start slightly to the right of the target line. Why will it do that? Because our shoulders are inclined in that manner. They are facing that direction there. They're not facing here, and they're certainly not open. So if they're facing in that direction there, which is closed, the club will always come in to a degree or an amount in to out. Now that gives us our consistency of ball starting direction. The ball will always start a little right of the target line because we're in to out. We're in to out because our shoulders are closed. How far that ball starts in to out and how far it continues to go in to out is determined by how much closure you have on your club face. Now our intention is to swing the golf club in to out, but we don't want to swing the club face on that line. Now this is a very important fact, guys, because if we have our club face there and we swing the golf club here and the club face is pointing there, the ball will go straight right for a right-hander. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that the club face is pointing at our target here at address. We've got our shoulders aimed for a right-hander to the right, but our club face is aiming at the target. So we've got our shoulders here, but our club face there. So that as the club comes in on the line of our shoulders, the club face will be released, even though we're firing it into out, it will be releasing itself in that direction there, guys, which is towards the target. The arms go in as a result of the closed shoulders, they go into out, but the club face fires itself and releases itself sideways. It doesn't continue to go into out there. It releases itself sideways here. So that's what you have to get into your head. You don't want to have a thought process where I'm going to swing into out, but I'm going to swing the club face, like that into out, because there's no release on that, guys. That's spooning. So you've got to feel in actual fact that this happens. It's a sideways slap with the arms travelling into out and the club face sideways slaps. So we fire that trail hand against what I would like to think at impact is a stationary lead wrist. Now it's not stationary, but I want it to feel stationary. I want it to feel like that. The old Da Vinci Code trebuchet. If that lead hand comes to what we think is a stationary position as a perception, if we think that here, if it comes in here and we go like that, now that club head has released perfectly at the target. Look, it's gone straight at the target. It's not out there, guys. It's released towards the target, and that ball has gone directly towards the target. Now this is a very important feature and facet of the channel lock golf swing. We can't have this going. We can't have into out with this here, because it gets the arm too far away and it gets the golf club pointing there. So there has to be this feeling that the club just fires itself or slaps itself towards the target. Now one of the guys posted the other day, and I don't know if I'll get his surname right, but it was Brett Durnham. Is it Brett? I'm sorry if I've got your surname wrong. But Brett suggested that he felt that what we're trying to do with channel lock, and I concur with his analysis and his suggestion. He said that he feels that the channel lock swing is actually like a two-handed tennis shot. Tennis shot to come in here, and they're going to hit a two-handed backhand. Well, I would say yes, Brett, providing that the backhand is down the line, down the outside court line, with the thought of hitting a topspin backhand down the line here. And you wouldn't want to have your shoulders rotating in a backhand shot. Sorry, what am I saying? That's a backhand shot. That's a backhand shot. Here. Now, a two-handed backhand shot, I would say yeah. If you kept your shoulders closed, here. And if you're going to well in tennis, yeah, sure. I mean that's backhand, that's forehand. It can be the same as a two-handed forehand drive down the line for golf swing analysis. If we wanted to hit a two-handed forehand drive down the sideline, we would keep the shoulders closed, and we would topspin it. And how do we topspin it? We're doing that. We're covering it with the racket. Now we want to do that, guys, with the club face. We want to have our two-handed shot down the line, but we want to have the shoulders closed, and we want to hit the topspin. That's how the club's got to be released. So for any of you guys that play tennis, backhand, two-handed down the line here, if the shoulders were closed and you want to topspin it, yeah, that's a good analogy. But in channel lock, guys, it's essentially shoulders closed. And why do we want it closed? Because we want to swing the club in this channel here, guys. We talked about beside the body. It's in a channel here. How does it get in a channel? Because the shoulders are in a channel. If I bring my shoulders here, there's a channel here, but it's a sideways channel. We want a rearwards channel here. That's the difference. We want to swing the club in a channel here. And why do we want to do that? Because we want to take advantage of that back foot ball position and closed shoulders at impact. That's all it is, guys. Getting closed shoulders at impact so the club travels into out every time. Then you've got a consistent starting direction for your golf ball. And that's all this golf swing is. It's a methodology of getting exactly the same starting direction every time. Now, you will never pull this golf ball, or you'll never drag the golf ball. You can't do it. Not possible. Because the geometry won't let you. If I have my shoulders closed here and I'm firing the club, I can't get the club outside the line, guys. I can't do that. That's almost a physical impossibility, and a geometrically impossibility. I can't do that. So we eliminate this side of the golf course for a right-hander. The left side of the golf course is eliminated. I haven't hit one shot in a pull drag fashion since the very first shot I hit with channel lock when I started it a year ago. Not one. Absolutely not one. Well, I can't, guys, because the geometry configuration won't let that happen. So because we're shut down here at address, and of course for newbies coming on board, if you get in here and you just come in dead square here, guys, and this is old ground, but this is for newbies. If you just come in here dead square, the ball back here, and we've got parallel feet and ball line to a target, and you came in here, you just went here, and then you back cocked your shoulders here and you fired the club, you'd hit it right. Because that's where your shoulders are pointing. So what you have to do is work out with your shoulders closed. Even though they're closed, they're going to virtually be parallel, almost parallel to the target line, only slightly right, not a long way right. So when we set up, for newbies, you can set up open here with your shoulders open, and then as you get here you can just back cock your shoulders a little bit, and all we're doing is taking our shoulders from being open here to bringing them on to the target line, or a little bit to the right of the target line. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do, and you'll have to work that out within your own practice regime. But you can't set up dead square, guys. If you set up dead square, you're going to hit the ball exactly the same every time, which is just a little push right. Now in your mind, think about that. If I'm going to hit that little push right from a square stance line, and it's going to be that shot, how do I get the ball to go to the target? You've got to bring that push around to the target. And how do you bring that push around to the target? By moving your shoulders around to the target. And your whole alignment around to the target, but not opening your shoulders and doing that. If I just hit that straight push out there from here, from that back ball position, here, the go carve is hit that 30 yards right of my target. How do I get it onto the target? All you got to do is bring this around to here, guys. This is still closed, but we've just changed the angularity of aligning. That's the simplicity of it. That sounds difficult, and it really sounds complicated, but it's not. But again, for newbies, the whole idea of this swing is to give you a consistent starting direction. We're going to swing the club beside our body. The action here is rearwards, outwards, rearwards, outwards. It's not backwards, forwards. It's not sideways. It's rearwards and outwards. That's the difference. And what I do, guys, in my protocol, I set the club, and then you'll notice here that we've got this configuration here. It's not like a normal golf swing. We don't want a lot of shaft lean on this golf swing, because if we get back here with a back ball position and we put a lot of shaft angle on, two things happen. The club face will open up and point further to the right, but we'll take a lot of loft off the club and it'll go too low. So we have to use the loft on the club that's designed into the club in manufacture, and that is with the shaft perpendicular. So we get in here, guys, and the way we get the shaft perpendicular is have this here. Have this configuration here. It's basically setting the shaft here and then putting the lead hand and arm on. That's what it is, in effect. See how that trail arm is basically in line with my trail leg? Now there may be a slight variation in that, but you don't want this. You don't want that lead arm in that position there, because that's going to make it too severe with the in to out, and the club face will be open. So we go from that. If we were there and that club face is pointing way right, the more I bring that back here, club face just goes straight on the target, guys. That's the reality. It's 40 degrees open there because my hand's there. I bring that around to here, club face is pointing straight at the target. Again, I know it sounds complicated, but it's really simplistic if you just sit down and have a think of that. And do that yourself. Set up with the club face here, or just there with all that forward lean angle on the shaft. Go from there and then just put it here where you would normally have it. And say, wow, that club face is way open. That's way open. Now you could offset that. Technically you could offset that by having the club face shut down at address a lot, so that when you put it forward it just squares it up. But it will square the club face up, but you'll still have loft taken off the golf club, so the ball will go low. And that's how I hit the ball low if I need a low shot. But I don't hit it low with this normal configuration here, guys. Not at all. When I get it here in that perpendicular position there, and I fire it, I come back and I've got the normal loft on the golf club. So that's for newbies. That's the basic essence and overall protocol of channel lock. It's all designed to give us a consistent starting direction to the shot, which it will every time. How much? The standard shot for me is basically a straight shot, just a straight shot with a tiny little bit of draw on it. Bill Phillips from MMI Golf, I mean, most of these guys are just hitting little baby draws. And that just is a matter of how much you personally apply or not apply club face closure to the ball at address and at impact. That's the simplicity, guys. I set it up and I'm dead square here. Now, I know just through hitting a lot of shots, I know where my target is, so I don't have to do this aiming left and then back cocking onto the line. I just instinctively know where it is now, and I get that when I address the ball. And for me, I'm actually applying a couple of things where I'll probably look like I'm setting up, you know, with my foot line closed, and it is a little bit closed, but and you will probably evolve. You could evolve into that yourself, but that's just my idiosyncratic bit. And I turn my feet a little bit this way to give us a little bit of a lock in the swing. And boys and girls, the ball just goes, you know, with a beautiful little draw. It just does that. And we're hitting out of the world famous cow paddock here, guys, today, and the grass is about 4 foot long. But essentially this is it, guys. And your arms will always finish in this configuration here, because they're hitting the ball like that, so they want to stay in front of the body. Not like conventional golf swing where we're rotating everything after the ball and the club head finishes over here. We don't want to feel like there's any body rotation in this golf swing. We don't want to feel that. We want to actually feel this. Now, we don't get that because the force of the golf swing will turn us around as we hit the golf ball. See, I'm here, guys, I'm still in front of my body. That's what you'll get with channel lock. You won't get this, and you won't get that. You won't get the normal roll look about you that you get in a conventional golf swing, like this. Forward ball position, here. See where I am here? Look. Low hands, everything rolled left. You won't get that, and you won't get that inconsistency of ball flight. With channel lock, you get exactly the same process. So the starting is this, guys. I get here, put that foot there, bring that one up, back cock the shoulders, and just swing it. Now, there's not much wind here today, and that's just a little, 2-3 yard draw. And the good thing about it, guys, is it's the same every time. With a conventional golf swing, you'll always feel differences in your setup. With this one, you don't. When we set up, and I neglected to mention that initially, but when you set up with this golf swing, guys, you'll feel a predominance of the weight set into the trail side, which is where we want it to be. We want to feel like this when we hit it. We don't want any rotation, we don't want any transfer. We want to keep the shoulders closed and the trail shoulder back as much as we can when we hit the ball, so we can get good extension on the trail arm. Okay, guys, that's just a basic broad overview for newbies, anybody coming on board that hasn't been exposed to channel lock. But the whole idea of channel lock, the channel lock protocol, and the protocol, we call it the protocol, guys, because the protocol is a number of things that you do for yourself. You'll have your own protocol. For me, the JH protocol is number one. I get here, trail foot, club there, that's number one. Number two is I bring up the lead foot. Number three is I close the shoulders there. And number four for me is what we call the 5 o'clock nose, where we point our nose. If we had a clock face here in front of us facing us, we point our nose to 5 o'clock. And why do we want to do that? Because we want to keep the head there when we hit it, because that, having the head back as far as we can, or the chin back and the nose back, stops this lead trail shoulder coming forward. So that's my protocol. I've got those 4 things in my protocol. And you may have 5, it depends what you have. But that's why we call it a protocol, because it's a number of things, and it's something that we should apply all the time. The protocol should be consistent. So here we go. That's the JH protocol. Now see how my hands finish nice and high here, guys? And that's a beautiful, normal loft draw golf shot. And guys, that's essentially exactly the same shot I've got for 1 year from the first day, from the first shot that I worked this golf swing out. And the reason I've gone to here is because I believe that the forward ball position has been the formal flaw in the traditional golf swing, and why no player in the history of golf has ever been able to absolutely guarantee that he will not hit a pull or a drag in his golf swing. Now, if you apply the channel lock principles and the protocols and apply them correctly, you cannot hit a pull or a drag. I can't hit one. I never have hit one since I've been on the system. You can't do it. The geometry won't let you. Anyway, guys, that's just a little overview. Well, a long overview. It's probably a 25-minute video. But for newbies coming on board, that's the basic underlying principle of channel lock compared to a conventional golf swing. Consistent ball position, closed shoulders, and you will hit exactly the same shot all the time if you do those two things. How you do those two things is individual, and there are a number of ways which are detailed in a lot of the videos on the One Atomic Golf channel relative to channel lock. There's 100 of them actually. So anyway, guys, that's a few people have asked me how would a newbie approach this golf swing, and what type of information does a newbie have to let them know the difference between this golf swing and a conventional golf swing. And I hope I've extrapolated that well enough in this video for the newbies. Okay, guys, that's just what happens. I can just step up and hit the ball dead cold, and I've got an injured shoulder at the moment, so it's a little difficult for me. But the good thing about channel lock is you will have exactly the same golf swing every time you go to practice, and you won't have to think about it. And you won't have the myriads of different ways to swing a golf club. When I last did a search on YouTube and I just put in different ways to swing a golf club, and I came up with 69,500,000 hits. So there's 69,500,000 suggestions of how to swing a golf club. And let me tell you guys, unless one of those is relative to the channel lock golf swing, none of those 69,500,000 have ever been successful in letting any player or getting any player to hit the ball consistently. Start the ball in none. And this is the problem. You wouldn't have 69,500,000 suggestions of how to swing a golf club if the method had worked somewhere. You'd only have one. Why would you have 69 million? Because it's never worked, and there's 69 million variations of a system that's never worked trying to get it to work. I know, guys. I mean, I've taught thousands of lessons under the guise of a conventional golf swing, and that's all we had. But I never saw any player, including myself, ever be able to guarantee that he could hit one starting direction shot. And that's why I went on the quest that I did to find a method that would do that. And I think I've done it with channel lock. Well, I know I've done it because I cannot hit the ball left with a pull or drag shot. Okay, guys, I hope that anybody that sees it, I hope that gives them enough information that will enable them to start their introduction to the channel lock golf swing and start them off in the right direction. Just tune into the One Atomic Golf channel because there'll always be, basically weekly updates on channel lock, and so you'll be able to get the latest information in terms of being able to add to your understanding and your progress with channel lock. Okay, guys, I hope that helped.